Gowda.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Sir, I represent Karnataka in this House, which has enacted a very progressive child protection policy. That said, sir, it is a matter of great concern. In fact, I must say that it's a matter of great shame that we have offenses against children, sexual offenses against children, and they shake our conscience every time we hear about these stories that demonstrate that there is a sickness in our society. It's urgent that we enact laws that address this problem, but I was trying to earlier argue that the minister should work with the House and refer this to Select Committee, not just for the sake of parliamentary scrutiny, but because we also want to improve the law in numerous ways. This opportunity to speak now is giving me a chance to elaborate, which in your wisdom you did not give me earlier, sir.
The rule did not provide that. You have now plenty of opportunity. Come on, go ahead.
Sir, anyway, my first argument, sir, is that Vandana Chavanji has already pointed out that there is a law, the POSCO law, which deals with these particular kinds of offenses. Now, when you look at the evidence of the implementation of the POSCO law, there is a lot to be desired. First, even before that, let me point out, sir, that here we are focusing on the accused, but we also have to focus on the victims, how to prevent not just the atrocities, but also how to prevent further victimization through the process that will be put in place by the changes that we're bringing in. So, under POSCO, what you find that rate of conviction has fallen from 32.6% to 28.2%. The pendency of cases has risen from 81.3 to 89.6%. Speedy justice is not being delivered by special courts, and special prosecutors are not being assigned to these cases. And we must understand the victims are children. When they are put in a court situation and having to face the people who have harmed them or are accused of harming them, they can often turn hostile. They find that situation extremely difficult to cope with. So, there's also a situation that a lot of children discontinue their education. They are maimed and scarred for life as a result of this. They may have to move, and their families may have to move. So a lot of these issues need to be considered when passing these kinds of amendment to the criminal law. And that's one of the reasons why I say let's go deeper into this. My suggestions are constructive, please pay attention. The second reason has also been raised by the previous speaker, Ravi Prakash Verma, and that has to do with male and female victims. So you can't just, it creates a discrepancy in the law if you look at increasing punishment against only for offenses against minor girls, when there are minor boys also who are affected as victims of sexual crimes. In 2007, the Ministry of Women and Child Development did a sample study of 12,000 children and found that 53% of the victims, the majority, were boys. Why is the minister not paying attention to these kinds of statistics that are out there in the hands of different ministries before paying attention to how to craft this law? And we've also paid attention substantially, leading in this House to the third gender. The third gender is also affected by sexual offenses, and we must pay attention, and I urge the Home Minister who has joined us to also pay attention to these kinds of changes that need to be addressed in this criminal law amendment. So the third major reason has to do with how the bill discriminates between girls under 16 and other kinds of vulnerable women. It could be pregnant women, women with disabilities, who are also victims of sexual crimes. How come we are not, well, how come we have a different set of punishments for those vulnerable groups when they are victimized versus a different set for women, girls under 16? So those are also vulnerable communities. We must pay attention to their needs and ensure that there's equal protection given to them. So one more thing, in terms of practical reality, sentencing is at the discretion of judges. When there is a very long sentence that is prescribed, typically judges will go for a minimum sentence. When something like that happens, the purpose of this whole amendment and the desire of society to unleash the power of law on these perpetrators is lost. Further, the death penalty can result in, again, a higher standard of evidence, etc., being required, which could also result in perpetrators getting off. So these are all issues that could have been taken into consideration. We could have brought experts in to testify before a select committee. And so even now, I urge the Minister and Minister of State for Home to think about the fact that this law needs to be strengthened, and what we are saying is very much in the spirit of improving the law and making sure that we have a better protection regime against sexual crimes against children. Ravi Prakash Verma talked about how lowering the time for investigation from 3 to 2 months is a good thing. I'd like to argue that these are complex issues, and I'm not sure that in a hurried manner we will be able to pay attention to all the complexities, the level of evidence that's required, etc. And therefore, I'm not sure that this has to be the case all the time. So please urge the government to consider these constructive points that I've made, to even now refer this to the select committee. And let me just finish. I'm finishing.
You're just finishing.
Take a minute. Let me finish. Okay. And just basically.
Time extension.
रखता हूं कि इस बिल को पारित करने के लिए सदन का समय 3 घंटे या जब तक बिल पास हो तब तक के लिए बढ़ा दिया जाए.
ठीक है.
We can go on, sir.
Right.
Nothing, sir. I just have to summarize.
Right.
We are all supportive of action against those who perpetrate crimes, sexual crimes on children. However, the bill can be strengthened, the rights of victims can be addressed, discrepancies between boy and girl victims can be addressed, vulnerable groups can also be given equal protection, and practical aspects of how the law is actually implemented can be considered. I urge the Minister to even now move it to select committee, and we will ensure that we have an even stronger bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.